We are here today with MBA IQ.
Thank you, Marianne. My name is Devi Vallabhaneni. I am one of the founders of the MBA IQ. Very happy to be here.
Great, and I'm Melissa Hayes. I'm also a founder of MBA IQ. Happy to be here.
Thank you for having us, ladies. We would love to hear more about MBA IQ. Can you tell us how you came up with the idea, what it is, and what you guys hope to accomplish?
Sure. The MBA IQ is the preparation course for the MBA classroom. So the idea is to be able to master the MBA lexicon and have a working knowledge of some of the topics that you'll be seeing in your MBA so you can hit the ground running. And for us, we believe in the academic side of the MBA, and as part of that, if you prepare somebody for that classroom, they're going to have a much stronger foothold in the classroom.
Cool. Well, what prompted you guys then to do this? Because it sounds like a good idea, especially as someone who has her MBA and would have appreciated something like this.
Well, Debbie and I both have our MBAs as well. We met through Harvard Business School connections, and throughout the course of our experiences, we realized how important it is for people to have a strong academic experience and get the most out of it. Debbie can speak to the book that she wrote, which was really the impetus for getting the MBA IQ started.
Absolutely, and so the course comes with the workbook, What's Your MBA IQ? So that way you can have this when you're going through your MBA, so you have a reference tool of the different frameworks, vocabularies, different topics and theories that are presented in a whole host of MBA topics. But what we've noticed is that there's a greater diversity of the incoming class who want to get an MBA, which speaks to the universality of the MBA degree. But with that diversity comes preparation. So one of my best friends from business school was a journalist at ABC News. When she came to class, she didn't have the same kind of background as somebody who came in from investment banking. And so her learning curve was much steeper, but from an academic perspective, but yet she brought so much more experience and real world experience to the classroom, so that diversity is a good thing. We just believe that the diversity can be better suited with some preparation.
I gotcha. So how does this work then? Is it a series of questions that you take to gauge where your level is?
So the MBA IQ is an online course with the workbook. So it has 12 modules. An individual sign up for the online course and receive the physical book in the mail. And then they go through each module, which starts with a learning assignment, takes them through, for example, operations. It goes through the core vocabulary or lexicon of operations, and then gives you a handful of flashcards against all the various learning objectives, and then has a quiz. So at the end, you get a score by each module, which will help you then identify your strengths and weaknesses. So for example, at the end of MBA IQ, you might realize, I'm very strong in sales and marketing, but I'm very weak in operations or HR. It will help build your knowledge and at the same time identify, oh, maybe then before I get to the classroom, I should read more about operations so I'm better prepared for this class. Or maybe I know a lot about all these different areas and I'm in a good position. So it helps you really from a professional development perspective, gauge your strengths and weaknesses and identify where you should focus your attention.
Well, and then the other thing is nowadays that business school curricula are changing so rapidly, and there are enough schools now where they may just have a handful of core courses, and it's really up to the student to determine which classes they want to take. So if that's the case, somebody who did score poorly in operations, that might trigger them to say, now that I know what operations is about, I probably should take another course to boost my level of understanding. So it can also help in just figuring out which classes to take.
Okay. So when did you ladies start MBA IQ?
Well, actually, it was kind of 10 years in the making. My father and I actually started a nonprofit educational organization that is the sister organization to MBA IQ, where we certify business acumen through 2 different professional certifications. And the MBA IQ was a natural outgrowth of that. The book came out in 2009, and the course came out this week. So we're very happy about that. So this is great timing to be able to share with a broader community of what the MBA IQ is about. Melissa and I met 3-4 years ago, and it was never intended that we're going to work together and all that. Everything happened so naturally and organically. And one of the things that I would stress for other founders is, in the beginning, it's really important to work with people you like and trust, and where there's the same goal.
Great. Yeah, so I've been working very closely with Devi for about the past year, but have watched it evolve for the past 4 years, which was really fun. So it could naturally contribute over time and then become a second member of the team.
Cool. Well, that's exciting, and congratulations on releasing the course this week.
Thank you. It's now comes the fun part to be able to talk about it.
Well, awesome. Now, tell us a little bit about your backgrounds.
We attended Harvard Business School, and prior to that I worked on Wall Street for Morgan Stanley as an investment banker. And then I spent some time working for the 85 Broads Network of Women in Business, which really tapped into my passion of both how do you empower women in business and also areas of education. So figuring out how those two merge together. After business school, I went to work at McKinsey consultancy, where I spent about 2 years there, and I still am currently full-time employed with Miller Coors, the beer company, and I take care of our sales operations on our Walmart business. So MBA IQ is very much a passion and a part-time job, which has been fun to have both of those going on.
So before business school, for me, I started at Arthur Andersen. Worked there for 4 years in Chicago, Singapore, and Hong Kong. Got my CPA, and then it was business off to Cambridge and Boston for business school. And right after business school, I worked for the Gap in international business development and Gap Online. So as the first e-tailer, it was such an exciting time to be there. It was during Khaki Swing, Khaki's Groove, Khaki's Rock. It was just a magical time to be at the Gap as well as in San Francisco, because I was really at the start of the first tech boom. And so, whatever dinner party you'd go to, it was, oh, who's getting funded, this, that, it was all that. So now during the second tech boom, it's nice to see it from afar.
Yeah. Where do you see yourself, say, in 5 years?
Sure, absolutely. In 5 years, we want several 100,000 kids to be going through this program before business school. Right now, business school means so many different things to so many different people, but yet that there's a common vocabulary, a common lexicon that every MBA should know, and even more important, that every non-MBA should know. Why should a common business lexicon be limited to people earning an MBA? So the course is for MBA aspirants as well as people who want to increase their business acumen. Knowing about a company is only going to help you with your career growth.
I would just build a little bit on what Devi said. We want to be known as the standard for business acumen, and the high quality there that gives people the confidence that I'm learning the core nuts and bolts. I think there's a lot of opportunity to expand this platform in different ways, and we're just excited to see where it goes.
Absolutely, and especially in this economy, it is up to you to educate yourself and to prove why you should be hired. Unfortunately, I think that's going to be the case for the next several years. And the moment you make the connection of education leading to as the way to stand out in an applicant pool, and as companies want to do more with less, just look at the productivity numbers in terms of corporate productivity. With fewer employees, companies are doing more, which means education is a tool. And the more you know, the more valuable you're going to be to your employer. And that starts with knowledge.
Couldn't agree with you more. What is that one moment you had? I'm going to try and solve this problem.
This whole reason for being in terms of the nonprofit that we started 10 years ago, and this, it was my own, I guess, aha moment of looking back in terms of how you evolved. So when I went to business school with an accounting and finance background, I did fine, and from an academic perspective, where I struggled the most was actually in marketing and in operations. I never even saw, I never even understood what operations was. It was like learning a foreign language. And I felt completely lost. And I was thinking to myself, how can I be so strong in some of the areas, and I come from a business background, and yet, you know, flailing in some of the other areas. And that's when I realized you know, you're admitted for certain reasons. That doesn't mean you're necessarily prepared for the classroom. So if I look back on my own life and my own career progression, I am our customer.
Yeah.
So it was never like one big aha moment, but just really processing what you've gone through and say, I know I would have liked to have been more prepared.
No, it's definitely a good experience to have, because no aha moment is truly like one smack.
Yeah.
Here it is. But it's really a progression of looking back at your own experiences and seeing where where you would have liked a solution in essence.
And we've talked to so many people along the way, so the MBA IQ, even over this past year, has evolved so much because we had a lot of thinking, and then we would take and go talk to people, and then refine, and talk to people and refine, and the understanding the need comes from doing focus groups and really pinpointing that market need. And I think that you might have an aha moment, but you don't want it to point you in the wrong direction. It's so important to like check with different areas. So we've learned so much, and understanding and broadening the market out by seeking so much input along the way.
One quick question. If you could give any women advice about potentially starting a company, what would it be?
I would recommend that I kind of see two different types of entrepreneurs in terms of, one, they start a business because they like the idea. They may not have had experience in that field. For example, if you want to own a restaurant or start a restaurant because you just like the idea but have never worked in a restaurant, but you believe that concept is going to, you know, be the next big thing, then I say go work at a restaurant. You need to have intimate knowledge of the product or service or the industry in which you want to start the company. Then there are the other types of entrepreneurs who have worked in the field so much, they're so entrenched in an industry or in a product, and then they say, I could do it better. Those people already have that intimate knowledge and through years of experience. So if you look at, like, Malcolm Gladwell's, outlier theory, they're already the outlier because they've already gained that much experience. The people who have intimate knowledge, then they need to have that broad business sense to be able to bring a company to life and to grow it. The people who have a great idea but have no intimate knowledge, they need both to get that intimate knowledge somehow, and then number two, get that broad business sense.
Yeah. And I would say too, I think some of the most important things are really having a strong self-awareness of your strengths and weaknesses, being able to play to your strengths, and then build a network, a support system around you that will support your weaknesses. So if you have a great idea, understand what you have that will bring to that idea and have that confidence, but at the same time have that self-awareness to say that I need to plug these holes and have these various resources.
Well, thank you, ladies, for meeting with us and for chatting and sharing your vision and your views and what you're doing. And we are excited to see and watch you guys grow.
Great.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.